Hey, this is Will with American Hard Enduro. We're here with Mitch Carvolth on the phone. We're going to ask him a few questions about what's been going on lately and what's coming up. So, how's it going, Mitch?
Oh, going pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, man. I heard you had a pretty adventurous ride yesterday. You want to tell us a little bit about what happened?
Oh, just trying to get ready for King of the Motos. I mean, since we don't use navigation too much with GPSs, Taylor, Robert, Max, Gerson, and myself, we were out trying to get used to navigation, and I got all turned around and missed my turn and started riding the course backwards, and it was kind of a mess. Ended up dealing with somebody, ended up on their property, and somebody cut their fence, and she was pissed off at me, and
Lovely.
just a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, it was quite the adventure, but, I mean, trying to test, so I guess need to go home and get things sorted out so I don't do that kind of stuff again, especially this weekend.
I hear you. Well, that sounds like I guess a good adventure. Let us. I just wanted to congratulate you on your top 5 finish at the RevLimiter in Texas. Can you take a moment and tell us about the race?
Oh, thanks. It's good. I mean, completely different from last year. We had a couple heavy hitters this year with guys like Cody and Corey Graffunder and David Knight.
Yep.
So it was cool to see those guys make it out, and seeing the event grow from last year was cool. The race with weather was it was
The opposite.
different. Yeah, it wasn't crazy wet like it was last year, but then it was freezing cold, so it was just like just added a different element. But I mean, as far as riding goes, the traction was quite a bit better, so that was cool. But yeah, I had a good time and was stoked to come out with a top 5 with those guys. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good weekend.
Would you prefer to ride in the really slick conditions, or do you like it dry, like out in the desert?
I don't know, to be honest. Like, I'm way better in the dry because that's what I deal with out here in Arizona. But when it comes to extreme, I think when there's traction, I think it levels out the playing field.
Right.
Whereas when things start to get wet and slippery and traction's hard to find, then you kind of need to be on your game, and I think it separates quite a bit. I wouldn't consider myself like a mud rider or somebody who's good in the wet, but I think it wears people out a lot more, and for me, I think my endurance plays a role in like a race that has to deal with that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say.
I got you.
If it's gonna make it harder, I'm in. So.
Well, thanks for running the American Hard Enduro sticker on your headlight. I've seen that in pictures all over the place, so that's really cool.
Yeah, no problem. Need to get it bigger so you can see it for sure.
Yeah, that was a 2x2. We're thinking about doing like a 4x4. Like, it'd be 4 times bigger.
Just take up my whole number plate.
There you go. I like it. So you're on a Sherco now. You got a little bit of seat time. Are you getting used to the bike?
Yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, from stock, when I was on KTM, it was easier because I had guys like Taylor and everybody's on KTM, so you can kind of tweak them and you know the fixes to do. And with the Sherco, it's a little tougher because there's not too many guys on it, but we're getting it dialed in and feeling good on it.
How is the motor and the suspension compared to a KTM?
So I bought the 6-Days edition.
Right.
And that comes with the Explorer fork, which comes on the XCW 300,
That's
which I love.
running. Right.
It has different valving, so I ended up telling them to copy the valving I had on the KTM and the spring rate, and so I'm good with that. I've been digging that lately. And then I was talking with Nick Farringer a little bit since they have some time on the Shercos and just kind of picking his brain on specs for the shock and things like that.
Right.
And they sent some stuff over and been playing with that a little bit and getting it pretty close to where I like it. So.
Okay.
It's been good.
And what about the motor?
The motor is good. it's different. Like right off the get go, like there's a ton of bottom, which I'm used to more of like a aggressive, like snap to try to almost like a motocross kind of bike, or like an SX for like KTM or something.
Right.
This has just got a lot of bottom and not so much snap, which is probably great for like wet, slippery conditions. Just like smooth power delivery.
That might be perfect at TKO.
Yeah, for sure. And then the bike actually comes with a mapping switch, so you can
tone it back,
flip it to like detune it or flip it over and try to wake it up a little bit, which is cool.
Nice.
So I've been playing around with that a bit since on the KTM I don't really have that option. So, no, it's been good.
Sounds good. So, King of Motos is this weekend. Obviously, you're talking about your ride with Taylor and them. What else have you been doing to prepare for not only the night race but following GPS?
I mean, tonight we're actually going to go out and do a night ride with a GPS on a loop that I've only done once, one way. So we're going to run it backwards, so it's all kind of
fresh,
new, and we'll have the GPS and the lights to make sure things are good there. But as far as navigation goes, I mean, like I said, we don't spend too much time with GPSs, and most of the races in the U.S., I mean, this is the one that I can think of where I need a GPS. Everything else is more of a short course, and everything has markers, so you don't need a GPS. And I've done a handful of races this year out of the country that require GPSs, so I have a little bit of time with them, but I mean, just trying to kind of cram it in the last week or two just to get the GPS kind of sorted out and get used to following and constantly looking down and trying to find your trail and know when to look, because sometimes you're going through some sketchy stuff or at high speed and you need to know when to look, find like a safe spot instead of just constantly looking and potentially wadding up. So it's all different, but.
So it's like texting and driving.
Yes. Highly don't recommend that, but. Yeah, it's sketchy, but it's something I like. It just adds another element to these races. So it's cool. I dig it.
Do you know if Taylor's racing this weekend?
He is racing this weekend, but it's a works race, I believe.
Okay, so he's not doing... Okay. Who, obviously, other than yourself, who do you put money on to win this thing this weekend?
Cody. I mean, he's on top of his game, and he's one of the best in the world. So to have him out there, I mean, he's a solid dude. So him, and then obviously Haker. You've seen like the past couple of years, he's been right there. So I see him up there as well, and Max Gersten.
Okay. So
I'm
the
trying
big
to
guys.
think of who else is going to be out there. What's that?
Just the big guys. I mean, obviously Cody and Colton. Yeah, I don't know who else is going to be there.
Yeah, either do I. I mean, I haven't really looked at like the sign-ups to see who's all signed up, and then there's sometimes guys that just roll up last minute, like, oh, I'm going to do it, and so you don't know ahead of time who's going to be there.
Maybe some moto guy.
Yeah, and I try not to psych myself out by like always just checking, like, oh, who signed up? Like, who am I racing? I just try to do my own thing and focus on myself and not worry about the rest.
Okay.
But
yeah. Tell us what other races have you done this year outside of the country, and what's your favorite race you've done lately?
In 2017, I went over and did Würzburg for the first time. That was cool.
Right.
Insane over there. Just hard enduro in Europe is awesome. It's like motocross in the U.S. Like, to see the turnouts they get is unreal. And I hope that with American Hard Enduro and the way things are going and promoting the sport in the U.S., I hope to see it grow into that one day.
That's the goal.
In the States. Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, when you're over there, it's unreal to see. all the people who have passion for it, and it's a good time. But yeah, Erzberg was good. That was fun. I went down and did the Roof of Africa, and I had a race down in Peru, El Inca Hard Enduro.
Nice.
So yeah, those were cool. All sort of different in their own way, but tough. So
okay, if you got to design the absolute perfect American Hard Enduro, what would the format be? How many miles, days? Is it knockout style? Is it one race? What would you prefer?
Out of what I've seen so far in the races that I've done, I really like the format of like Sea to Sky. It's a 3-day race. You have a prologue on the beach, which is just start position for day 2. And you're racing 3 days, but really everything is start position until the final day, and it's like a one moto format. The final day determines the positions, and
right.
It's like an all-day thing. You're out there on the bike, depending on
like 100-mile days.
Correct. Yeah, you're just out there all day, and it has levels for everybody, depending on how far you make it. If you make it, say, like a third of the way in, they'll have a checkpoint where it's a bronze finisher, and you make it maybe halfway or three-quarters of the way through the course, and it's a silver finisher. And then if you get there in time and have enough time to make it to the finish line, you make it all the way to the finish, you're a gold finisher. And I like that format. That way you're not having to do different courses for people and different loops. And it's just, if you want to try to make it to the gold finish, like,
do it.
It's on you, and it's there if you want to take the challenge, and that's cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, that format I like. I'd love to see a race in the U.S. that's done like that. I think it'd be good. I guess the question is, where would we put it?
Hey.
But hopefully somebody comes up with something, and I'll be there to support it for sure.
Yeah, that's why we're talking about it. Hopefully somebody out there will hear this, and, you know, they will have the freaking fortitude and the backing to do it. But
right.
You never know.
I mean, yeah, and I've been talking to a couple people like, man, I would love to help give my insight on putting a race on, like what I think that from what I've seen at the races that I've done.
Yeah, you have about as much experience with it as anybody since you've been overseas, and then you've done a bunch of U.S. enduro, hard enduros, so you're a good guy to talk to.
Yeah, I would like to think I do, and I mean, everybody has their own opinion on what they like. I haven't seen anything really like that in the U.S. yet.
Right.
It would be cool to see something like that, and I'd be down to help. I just would be bummed if I wouldn't be able to race it.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
Out completely. Yeah, so I was like, I want to put something on, but I want to race it too. So
yeah,
I don't know what to do.
So,
but
what do you have coming up after King of Motos?
That's a tough one. I'm trying to figure out support and like financially get over to Europe and do more races over there. I mean, my goal is to go over there and do what is it? Lagares Extreme.
Oh yeah.
I think it's in Portugal.
Nice.
I want to go over there and do that one. I want to do Erzberg again. Really, I'd like to get over there as much as I can and do almost all the Red Bull Hard Enduros.
Right.
Megawatt, Sea to Sky, do the roof again, and then a couple of those one-offs in South America, like Yucapacha down in Ecuador, and go back to Peru and do El Inca. That's my goal. I don't think I'll do too much with Endurocross this year because, I mean, my passion is really in the hard enduro stuff, and if I can try to focus on that and get to as many races as I can, I'll be stoked.
Nice. Well, you just pretty much listed every hard enduro rider's like dream year if we could hit those races. So
Right.
You're living the dream, man. That's awesome. When are you headed back east in the U.S.?
I don't know yet. I think we were talking about this a little bit at the RevLimiter. I would like to come back maybe a couple weeks before TKO, and you guys were saying, is it Battle of the Goats?
Yep.
Somewhere out there, like
Yeah.
a week or two before?
North Carolina.
Yeah, I'd like to come out and do that one and try to get some seat time on the East Coast in the trees, since that is completely opposite of what I'm dealing with out here in Arizona.
I hear you.
So, no, that'd be cool. So, maybe sometime before TKO.
All right, man. Well, we don't want to take too much of your time, but is there anybody you need to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people that have been behind me in my off-road journey, I guess you would say. I've been doing it for a few years, and it's crazy how much support I've been getting the last couple of years. Team Topar, those guys, Wayne and Tony, they've helped me out pretty much the whole way through, which has been huge. Clay from Sherco this year, stepping on board and helping out. That was cool of him, and
Nice.
I'm excited to see where that goes this year. And then everybody else like Climb and Kenda and all my suspension guy, Johnny, TBT, just everybody. It's been a good ride, and hopefully keep improving.
Heck yeah. Well, we've been impressed with your results lately, and we're looking forward to seeing you out there at the next big American Hard Enduro, and hopefully get to meet up on the trail as well.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, man. We appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, no problem, Will.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me. Yep, no problem.